Josh Jackson is a slinky, high-motored wing from San Diego, California, who played a single season of college basketball for comedy legend Bill Self.
I've been to Manhattan, Kansas, the Little Apple, 4 times.
Josh was picked 4th overall in 2017 by the seemingly rudderless Phoenix Suns. In year 1, Jackson averaged 13.1 points per game on roughly 5 of 12 shots, 4.6 rebounds, a steal, and 1.5 assists. It was a mixed bag. Sometimes he showed flashes of the Swiss Army knife type player that the Suns thought he could be, while at other times he raised significant questions about his long-term ceiling. This is The Leap, a series where we break down the NBA's next generation of could-be stars, guys who have a lot of talent, a little experience, but still have questions surrounding their games. In part 2, we're going to be taking a look at what we've seen thus far and what we expect to see in the future from Joshua O'Neal Jackson. Jackson fits the mold of what I like to call a mongoose, a cobra killer. Similar to a shutdown corner in football, these are the types of players that seem tailor-made to thwart the strengths of the most exciting offensive players. He's got good size for a wing at 6'8", but a just barely plus wingspan at 6'9 3/4, a vertical leap of 41.5 inches, and a standing reach of 8'9". The wingspan and his slender frame are the only real physical differences between Josh and some of the more notable shutdown wing defenders in the game. Luckily though, Josh is a quick-twitch athlete with a fantastic reaction time, paired with speed and anticipation in his hands and feet. He's also got a non-stop motor, and those qualities can do a lot to alleviate physical deficiencies. Jackson's got strong switchability. He's quick and slippery enough to get around screens, allowing him to quickly recover and get in position to make a play. He also battles relentlessly for position, even against bigger players, and he's good at locking up arms with rim runners to keep them from going over the top for lob passes. He's demonstrated a nose for knowing exactly where the offense is aiming to make a play. He was also like any other rookie in that he would occasionally get caught out of a stance or overcommitted and out of position, but on the whole, Jackson is invested as a defender and he seems to take it personally.
Enough ain't missing now, I tell you, enough ain't missing. Woo.
There's a je ne sais quoi to Josh Jackson that you can't quite explain. He just seems to give a shit. He's the type of guy other players love to have on their team, and I think that goes a long way for a number of reasons. Other than simply playing hard, Josh has shown some fortitude by weathering a tough early stretch in his rookie season and gradually upping his production. Splitting the NBA season into 4 quarters, you could see some statistical improvement from Jackson between quarters 2 and 3, and then again between 3 and 4. Furthermore, there's a huge difference between the mistakes of omission and mistakes of commission. Josh is an active, involved player. He definitely is not the type of guy to sit back and watch the action unfold. He also doesn't exhibit quote-unquote my turn habits that are detrimental to a team. He might be wild and erratic at times, but it's a much easier task to rein in someone's enthusiastic energy than to rouse up enthusiastic energy in someone that doesn't seem to have it. Not naming any names. Mindset and temperament are colossally huge for basketball players, to the point that it can make the difference between being a Hall of Famer or having an unfulfilled career.
Man, I tell you what, so-and-so would have been really great if he gave a shit about playing ball.
I just don't ever see us saying that about Josh Jackson. When it comes to offensive talent, the 2017-18 Phoenix Suns were not exactly doing backstrokes in an embarrassment of riches. It was a roster full of limited off-the-bounce creators and underskilled bigs that could really only thrive in situations where they were outright spoon-fed. Without consistent off-the-dribble creation, no one is going to get easy shots, and without shooting, those driving lanes tend to close up. It's a vicious cycle, and it's one of the main reasons that the Suns were so brutal to watch this past year. Of the 30 NBA teams, Phoenix was dead last in three-point percentage at 33%, 29th in assists per game, 28th in field goal percentage, had the 3rd most turnovers, and were the 3rd most prolific fouling team in the league. Not exactly a recipe for winning ball games. They were also last in both defensive and offensive rating. It really was an impressive feat in stinking. It was a stagnant, bottlenecked offensive approach that largely depended on Devin Booker to either get his own offense in the pick and roll or hope that someone else was having a great straight night. Among players logging at least 1,500 minutes this past NBA season, Booker was 5th in the league in usage and led the league in opponents' points off of turnovers, just to give you an idea of how much they were forced to rely on him. For the development of a prospect like Josh Jackson, that's basically
scariest environment imaginable.
Jackson just requires a more dynamic offensive structure than that. And it's possible that much of Jackson's rookie offensive stats come with a big asterisk. That's how bad the Suns were. That said, the Suns did find a way to make some
Nice moves
this offseason. They added a potential franchise player in DeAndre Ayton, depth at wing with Trevor Ariza and Mikal Bridges, and they hired Igor Kokoskov, a coach who's widely regarded as a sharp and inventive offensive mind. The added offensive talent will likely free Josh Jackson up to be himself, and then hopefully improve. He'll also have more capable shooters to kick to on drives, and he'll be playing with a legitimately skilled 7-footer. This should be at least an improved environment for him to develop. Folks, Josh Jackson did not shoot the ball particularly well from pretty much anywhere during his rookie season.
Don't cry, don't raise your eye. It's only field goal wasteland.
Jackson's shot chart is kind of like the tunnel scene from Willy Wonka. It's possible that it should be kept away from children. In his first NBA season, Josh was below the league average field goal percentage in 12 of the 15 tracked shot zones. He was only approaching efficiency in 3 areas, bizarrely all of which are considered ill-advised shot areas by today's popular thinking.
May I?
Josh's shot mechanics are not particularly good. His form is inconsistent. His feet could go a number of directions while he's in the air. His hang time on his pull-up jumper seems to throw off his touch, and although he does have a soft flick in his wrist, he pushes the ball way out in front of his face, which gives his shots an odd and inconsistent trajectory. He can have some wild, bad misses, and even around the rim, where you'd expect an athlete of Jackson's caliber to thrive, he struggled to finish, converting at 4 percentage points below the league average at 53%. I noticed very few left-hand or creative finishes too, and his insistence on finishing righty often would get him into dicey situations, which would lead to turnovers or just bad shots. The bad shots can be cleaned up, but seeing as Josh is only really remarkable in cutting to the basket, that's got to be an area of improvement. If he adds strength and some creativity to his finishes, he could and should carve out a nice niche for himself and add to his offensive value for Phoenix. This past season, of the top 10 5-man lineups for effective field goal percentage, Jackson was only in 2 of them, and neither of those were in the top 5. So what's it going to take for us to see peak Jackson? Well, first, the shooting. I mean, it's unavoidable. It'll have to be a combination of gradual mechanical tweaks and the filtering out of needless bad shot attempts that usually follow extended one-on-one moves in space. Overanalyzing something that should be instinctive can completely disrupt a player's comfort shooting the ball and their confidence. It's possible that with a different, more skilled supporting cast and a new coach, Josh will be able to focus on the things that he does well and cut out the chaotic drives and the ill-advised mid-range twos. Second, maturity. Settling into a role is difficult for every rookie, and looking at the Suns roster, you could see where maybe he got the impression that shots were up for grabs. But Josh seems like a very in-the-moment type of dude without worrying a ton about what's coming next, and that can be good and bad. He can also lose focus after defending for long stretches, he can attack the basket without much of a plan, and also allow little things to bother him enough to take him mentally out of a game. Overthinking is definitely bad, but a little expanded situational awareness could do wonders. Last, I think we're pretty far away from peak physical condition Josh Jackson. For a guy whose 2 strengths are getting to the rim and being a dependable wing defender, he still struggles to finish and let stronger guys turn the corner corner on him. Strength will afford him a better chance of finishing through contact, and it'll decrease the occasions where drivers can just brush him aside. Full transparency, I'm skeptical that Josh is ever an all-star. I see Jackson's ceiling as a high-importance role player on a good team. Maybe sniffing an all-star game if he has an outrageous statistical season top to bottom, a la Sean Marion or someone like that. Some might see that as a failure, but I really don't. You need both types of players. Asking Jackson to become a Klay Thompson or a Bradley Beal type would be like asking David Costabile to become George Clooney. Just because he's not a leading man type or a dominant scorer doesn't mean that he can't contribute to something great. Maybe that'll happen in Phoenix. If it somehow does, I think that Josh still has a long way to get there. Let me know if you agree.